Chicago, 1924. A city bustling with energy and ambition. The roaring 20s were in full swing, jazz filled the air, and the city was alive with the sounds of celebration and rebellion. Prohibition fueled a surging underworld. Speakeasies thrived, and the line between legality and crime blurred. Amidst this backdrop of exuberance and excess, a crime of unspeakable horror shocked the city and the nation. It was a crime that would forever change the way people viewed the world around them. It was a crime born of cold calculation, fueled by twisted desires. A meticulously planned act that defied comprehension. Two young men, brilliant and wealthy, decided to commit the perfect crime. They believed their intelligence and social standing would shield them from consequences. Their names were Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb. Both were prodigies, with bright futures ahead of them. Their victim was 14-year-old Bobby Franks, an innocent boy whose life was cut tragically short. The case became a media sensation. Reporters flocked to cover every detail, and the public couldn't get enough. It had all the elements of a gruesome spectacle: wealth, intelligence, and a shocking disregard for human life. The trial captivated the nation. The public was both captivated and horrified. They couldn't fathom how such a crime could be committed by two young men of privilege. How could two young men from such privileged backgrounds commit such a heinous act? What drove them to such depths of depravity? What drove them to such depths of depravity? The courtroom drama unfolded, revealing the dark recesses of their minds. The answers, as they unfolded in the courtroom and beyond, painted a chilling portrait of human psychology. The trial exposed the fragility of the human psyche. The Leopold and Loeb case remains a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most promising lives. It serves as a cautionary tale. It is a story about the arrogance of youth, the seductive power of nihilism, and the enduring fascination with evil. This is their story, a story that continues to intrigue and horrify to this day. Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb were both products of extreme privilege, born into families that afforded them every opportunity. They grew up in the lap of luxury in Chicago's affluent Kenwood neighborhood, surrounded by opulence and wealth. Their families were prominent members of the city's social elite, mingling with the most influential figures of their time. Both young men were exceptionally intelligent, excelling in their academic pursuits from a young age. Leopold, in particular, was a child prodigy, fluent in multiple languages and already a published ornithologist by his teenage years. Loeb, while less academically inclined, possessed a magnetic personality and a cunning charm that drew people to him effortlessly. Despite their advantages, a darkness festered within them, a growing sense of superiority and detachment from societal norms. Leopold, awkward and introverted, became obsessed with Nietzsche's concept of the Superman, a being who transcended conventional morality and was not bound by the same rules as ordinary people. Loeb, restless and thrill-seeking, reveled in petty crimes and acts of vandalism, finding excitement in breaking the law. Their shared fascination with the macabre and the forbidden drew them together, forming a dangerous bond that would lead them down a dark path. They believed themselves to be Nietzschean supermen, exempt from the rules that governed ordinary men and destined for greatness. Their brilliance, they convinced themselves, set them apart from the rest of humanity. Their arrogance grew with each passing day. They began to fantasize about committing the perfect crime, a crime so meticulously planned and flawlessly executed that it would prove their intellectual superiority beyond any doubt. They believed they could outwit the authorities, that they were above the law and untouchable by the justice system. This shared delusion, fueled by their unchecked egos and dark desires, would have deadly consequences, leading them to commit an act that would shock the nation and forever stain their privileged paths. Their target was Bobby Franks, a 14-year-old boy from their neighborhood. He was just an ordinary kid living an ordinary life, unaware of the dark intentions brewing around him. They chose him randomly, seeing him as an expendable pawn in their twisted game. To them, he was nothing more than a means to an end. Their plan was chilling in its meticulousness. Every detail was thought out, every step carefully plotted. They rented a car under an assumed name and prepared a carefully worded ransom note. The note was designed to mislead and confuse, to buy them time. They constructed a crude chloroform mask, a tool of their sinister trade. They even chose the secluded location for the murder, a culvert near Wolf Lake, a desolate spot on the outskirts of the city. It was a place where no one would hear Bobby's cries. On May 21st, 1924, they put their plan into action. The day had finally come. They offered Bobby Franks a ride as he walked home from school. Trusting and unsuspecting, Bobby accepted. Once inside the car, Loeb struck Bobby in the head with a chisel, killing him instantly. The act was brutal and swift. They then drove to the culvert, where they hid the body. The secluded location served their purpose well. They mailed the ransom note, intending to lead Bobby's wealthy family on a wild goose chase. They hoped to exploit the family's desperation and grief. They believed they had committed the perfect crime, leaving no trace of their involvement. They were wrong. The police were already on their trail, piecing together the clues they had left behind. The arrogance that had fueled their crime also led to their downfall. In their haste, Leopold had made a crucial mistake. He had dropped his eyeglasses near the culvert where they had dumped Bobby Franks's body. The eyeglasses were distinctive, with an unusual hinge mechanism. The police traced them back to Leopold. Confronted with this evidence, Leopold and Loeb confessed. Their confessions, however, were not those of remorseful criminals. Instead, they seemed to relish the opportunity to recount the details of their crime, reveling in their perceived brilliance. Their confessions, far from exonerating them, only solidified the public's perception of them as cold-blooded monsters. The trial would be a media spectacle, captivating the nation and raising profound questions about the nature of evil.